Hello everyone, I'm Mini Maestro, and today we are starting a new What If. If you have been keeping up with my What If Deku is the Avatar series, then you would know that this has been planned for a while. And I let you guys decide on which What If I would do, and what if Deku was a Dragon Rider 1? Or maybe it did. We'll never know because YouTube decided to get rid of the pulls into iCards. So, we don't know. I'm honestly going off of what I last saw in the lead. From now on, all polls are going to be in the community tab, so make sure to subscribe so you can vote ASAP. Oh, and one more thing. Today is a special day. Happy birthday, Giuseppe. I hope it's a good one. Yes, it is What If Deku was a Dragon Rider, and this isn't going to be my own creation or a concept from an obscure movie, book, or TV show. This is based off of the DreamWorks classic, How to Train Your Dragon. Some of you may be mad at me for using the movie version, but in all honesty, I never finished the book series. Late game, it got so hard to keep track of what was going on, and I just gave up. Now, I will not be giving Deku one for all in this What If. Why? Well, I always saw Hiccup as a scrappy underdog, except in Dragon Racing, in that he is Mega Boss. So I'm not going to make Deku overpowered. I say this as I give him a Night Fury. But I am keeping the shot limit in mind, which for a Night Fury is 21, which is a lot higher than I thought. I thought it was 7, 9 at most, but 21, that's a lot. Also, he'll recharge the Night Fury will recharge the shots by eating. Why? That's how it worked in the awesome How to Train Your Dragon game that was on CartoonNetwork.com, but was taken up due to my despair. I am giving Deku a quirk. Not telling you what it is. You will figure out what it is in this part, don't worry. For now, let's get started. Deku is at the quirk doctor. The doctor looks at the papers. I have good news and bad news. Inko gets nervous. What do you mean? Well, the good news is that he has a quirk. The bad news? We have no idea what it is. Isn't there some way to determine what it is? Well, some quirks we don't need to do tests. For when we have to, we can sometimes determine with a blood test. For those we can't, like your son, there's no telling what their quirk is. But he does have a quirk, right? Right. A while later, Deku sees Bakugo bullying another child. Deku runs up to intervene. Stop it, Kachan! Or what, Deku? A quirkless loser like you can't possibly beat me. I already told you, Kachan. I have a quirk. We just don't know what it is. Yeah, right. You seriously expect me to believe that, Deku? How could someone not know what their quirk is? Maybe if they need something specific? If it really needs something that specific, then it sounds like a quirk you can't even use. Then you might as well be quirkless if you have a quirk like that. It's true, Kachan. Yeah, go on all you want. Just get out of the way, you quirkless loser. Why are you being so mean? Bakugo and his buddies then beat up Deku mercilessly. Year 2 of middle school arrived and things were not going well. Seeing how down Deku was, Inko decided to take Deku on a sightseeing cruise around Scandinavia during the summer. By the way, now feels like a great time to correct some people. I saw a lot of videos online about how Class 1A is finally moving on to Year 2, but those videos are actually wrong, and a result of a lack of knowledge of the Japanese school system. Summer does not separate the school years in Japan. So yeah, Class 1A is still in Year 1 as of this point in the anime. Back to the what if. Midway through, the ship is hit with a storm. Deku tries to get to his mother, but the ship splits. Deku falls into the water, getting above the surface to catch his breath when he can. Eventually, the water calms, and Deku grabs onto a piece of driftwood. He lays on it, slightly panicking. He holds on and drifts for about 2 days. He is sleeping on a broken piece of the ship, thirsty and hungry, when he wakes up to the sound of a waterfall. A waterfall? He thinks this before opening his eyes. Am I near land? Deku opens his eyes and sits up, seeing that he is nowhere near land. Then, he sees that he is about to fall into a giant hole, which we all know as the entrance to the hidden world. Deku panics as he falls into the hidden world. Fortunately for him, a timberjack was flying under. He landed on the wings of the giant dragon and immediately wonders why that didn't hurt as much as the fall looked like it would. He opened his eyes and saw remarkable beauty, but he didn't notice that. He was too fixated on the fact that he was on the wings of a giant dragon. He resisted the urge to scream, only feeling fear. He started to fall off the timberjack's wing. He tried to hold on, but he fell off into a pool of water in a dark corner. He got up and crawled into the corner, hoping not to be noticed. He was terrified by the various growls. After a bit, a Night Fury passed by and noticed him. He flew down, curious, as he had never seen a human before. Deku backed away. For a moment, they made eye contact, and the link was made. Suddenly, Deku realized that the dragon was just curious and it wasn't going to hurt him. And the dragon realized that Deku was hungry. The Night Fury flew off and later returned with some fish for Deku. Deku looked at the fish, unsure, and the Night Fury nudged it towards him. Deku reluctantly reached for the fish and took a bite out of it. It was disgusting, but the feeling of food reaching a hungry stomach swayed him. He ate until he felt full. He whispered under his breath, "I want to go home." The Night Fury heard Deku's desire and nudged him up. The dragon then nudged him out of the corner and tried to get between his legs. Somehow, Deku knew that the Night Fury wanted him on its back. Deku got on its back and asked, "What are you doing?" In his head, he heard a voice. "Fly." The Night Fury took off and Deku held on tight. The Night Fury flew out of the hidden world and hovered above the entrance. Deku tried to remember what way it was, and he saw the rising sun. So that's east. Which way did the tour guide say we were going? We were going west, so that means east. The Night Fury reacted and headed towards the sun, faster and faster. Deku was starting to have a hard time holding on. After about an hour, Deku and the Night Fury hit land. And yes, this is New Berk. For those of you skeptics who think this couldn't happen, it only took so long for Hiccup and Ash to get from New Berk to the Hidden World because they were on Stormpoint and Natter. Compare that to the unknown top speed of a Night Fury. Back to the what if. The Night Fury landed and collapsed from exhaustion. People gasped at the sight of a dragon. Deku pat the Night Fury on the head. The current chief approached the two. He spoke to them in a Nordic tongue. "What is your name, young man?" In Japanese, Deku responded, "I'm sorry, I don't know what you're saying." A woman came out of the crowd speaking in Japanese. "The chief asked for your name." saw that his eyes didn't appear human anymore. They looked just like the eyes of the dragon that had just saved his life. Huh? When did this happen? Does it have something to do with my quirk? I never did find out what it was. And I am somehow knowing what this dragon is feeling. Deku keeps muttering until Uni stops him so she can figure out what happened to him. When she asks again, he explains what happened and she gives Deku a phone. He dials in his mother's number and it starts to ring. Inko picks up. Hello? Mom, it's me! Izuku? Where are you? Deku gets off the phone for a bit. Hello, where are we? He asks Uni. New Berk. Deku transfers the information. Izuku, I'm on my way. I'll be there in a bit, okay? Okay, Mom. I love you, Izuku. Inko hangs up and Deku gives the phone back to Uni. So what are you going to name it? What? The dragon. You mentioned how you don't know what your quirk is, but it clearly has something to do with this dragon. So it would make sense that you would stick together for a while. Deku looked at the unconscious Night Fury. Kuro. The chief walked up to Deku. Could you come with me for a moment? Before Deku could ask what he said, Uni says, he wants you to come with him. I'm just going to skip Uni's translations because that's going to get old real fast. Deku wakes up Kuro and follows Chief Andreas into his home. He opens a large safe and pulls out a chest. Izuku. This chest has been passed from chief to chief with a simple message. When the dragons return, give it to the one who brings them back. Really? That sounds pretty important. Only the chiefs know about this. Honestly, I didn't take it seriously, so I was just going to leave it. But the last chief insisted. He gives Deku a key. Deku unlocks the chest, and on top of everything is a letter. Deku picked it up to see it was written in runes. Uni recognized him. Izuku, this is the writing of the Hairy Hooligan tribe, the original inhabitants of New Berk. I can translate it for you. Thanks, Uni. Kuro dug his nose into the chest out of curiosity. Deku reached in and found the chest to be filled with mostly blueprints for devices that are honestly incredible. A shield that can turn into a crossbow, a flaming sword. Aside from the blueprints, there was also the Book of Dragons, as well as many of Bork the Bold's original notes, and some of Hiccup's personal notes. Deku picks up the Book of Dragons. He flips through it, seeing all the different kinds of dragons, but he can't read a word of it. Any chance you can translate this? I think it might be better to teach you how to read it. Yeah, you're probably right. But I will translate that letter for you. Thanks again for that. After Deku waits for a while, Inko arrives at New Berk and rushes out of the helicopter to hug Izuku. When she does, she quickly notices Izuku's eyes. What happened to your eyes? Not entirely sure, but we were thinking it might have something to do with my quirk. When I met Kuro, I somehow knew what he was feeling. Who's Kuro? Deku gestured to Kuro laying in some dragon nip enjoying himself. What? Is that a dragon? Yeah. Deku told Inko everything that happened, and when it was time for them to leave, Deku grabbed the chest and brought it onto the helicopter. But before he entered, Uni ran up to them, gasping for air after all the running. I finished translating the letter for you. Uni handed him a piece of paper. Thanks, Uni. Deku accepted the piece of paper and boarded the helicopter, followed by Kuro to the pilot's surprise. Deku began reading the translated letter as Kuro laid at his feet. There were dragons when I was a boy. There were great grim sky dragons that nested on cliff tops like gigantic scary birds. Little round scuttly dragons that hunted the mice and rats in well-organized packs. preposterously huge sea dragons that were 20 times as big as the big blue whale. Deku wondered how such a dragon would survive under its own body weight, even in the water. Some say they crawled back into the sea, leaving not a bone nor a fang for men to remember them by. Others say that they were just folktales to begin with. But I'm okay with that. When the ground quakes, or lava spews from the earth, it's the dragons, letting us know they're still here, waiting for us to figure out a way to get along. Deku then questioned the legitimacy of dragons being responsible for natural disasters, but kept reading. Yes, the world believes that dragons are gone, if they ever existed at all. But we Burkians know otherwise, and will guard this secret until the time comes that dragons can return in peace. And if you're reading this, then you are the one who brought them back into the world. To you I leave this chest and its contents. Under this letter you will find my old designs for the many gadgets and tools I have created in my youth to help me with my journey. I hope that they aid you as well. You will also find the Book of Dragons by Bork the Bold, along with some of his original notes you might find useful. And my notebook containing information on the many places I've been to, as well as enemies I've had to fight. Good luck. Sincerely, the first chief of New Berk, Hiccup Haddock III. Deku put the letter down. He thought about the letter. Was this guy that lived centuries ago really trusting a kid he knew he might never meet with all of this? What if it wasn't him who found it? What if it was some power-hungry villain? Then another thought entered and came into Deku's head. It wasn't a villain that stumbled upon the hidden world. It was him. He sighed at this good thought. When they got home, they quickly discovered that they needed to get a stone slab of some sort for Kuro to sleep on. They ended up naming Deku's quirk Draconic Bond. It makes it so he developed a cyclic bond with the first dragon he makes eye contact with. It has no apparent limited range, and there are no known ways to break the bond. When Bakugo found out, well, what do you think happened? He blew up, of course. Kuro protected Deku. Shortly after Deku's escapade, more dragons started to come out of the hidden world. Some people started to keep them as exotic pets, but you need a permit to have one. Dragons are being considered to assist heroes in work, but most heroes aren't going to pick it up as they feel fine without dragons, and they're, well, definitely more difficult to train than a dog. Uni started teaching Deku how to read the runes over calls. Eventually, he learns it and studies the Book of Dragons, Bork the Bold's notes, and Hiccup's notebook, being surprised to find that there was an area named Itchy Armpit. So Deku now has an extensive knowledge of dragons and informed the government as well as many others of the different species of dragons as well as how to identify them. But it's not common knowledge. So, let's get to the beginning of the anime. Deku was in class in his third year of middle school. The teacher stood up. All right, you're in your third year of middle school and it's time to start thinking seriously about your future. I could pass out some career aptitude tests, but... He throws the papers into the air. Why bother? I know you all want to go into the hero track. Everyone got excited and started using their quirks. You all have great quirks, but no quirk usage allowed in school. Don't lump me in with these losers, Teach, Bakugo proclaimed. I'm the only one who will be a great hero, and I'm going to UA. These guys would be lucky to get in as sidekicks with some busted D-lister. The rest of the class got angry. I'll take any of you on. You're all worthless. The teacher looked at his papers. Oh, Midoriya, you want to get into UA too, right? All eyes turned to Deku, and Bakugo blew up immediately. He does have a pretty good chance, a student pointed out. His quirk is pretty cool. It lets him talk to dragons. Who even guessed that they were even real? Well, one dragon, it's actually just Kuro. And it's not really talking. We just know how the other is. Bakugo made an explosion on Deku's desk, knocking Deku back onto the wall. Listen, Deku, you may have a quirk now, but you're still useless. Don't even think about... Bakugo was interrupted by a roar that came from outside. Bakugo jumped at the sight of Kuro scratching at the window. All right, everyone calm down, the teacher stated. We can't have a fight break out at school. Later, Deku was approached by Bakugo. You think you're so cool, don't you, Deku? Oh, no, I don't think that at all. Deku backed up towards the window. Admit it, ever since you fell into that hole in the middle of the ocean and awakened your quirk, you've been thinking that you're better than us just because you have a dragon for a pet. That's not it at all, Kachan. I was scared for my life when I fell into the hidden world. And Kuro isn't my pet, he's my partner. Whatever, it's an animal that does what you want. Deku started backing up to the window. You don't understand at all, Kachan. The relationship between me and Kuro is based on trust. Trust like this. Deku opened the window and jumped out. Kuro caught Deku, and they flew up. Bakugo yelled and kicked the wall in anger. Deku and Kuro flew for a bit and landed on the roof. He's exhausting, Deku said, referring to Bakugo. The two heard an explosion. Come on, Kuro, let's check it out. Kuro was slightly annoyed. I know to you it's the same thing every time, but it's not. This will help us become heroes. They then started to fly over to the explosion. Now, I'm going to say that the sludge villain got away because he wasn't delayed by trying to get Deku. So, it did get Bakugo. When Deku and Kuro got to where the explosion came from, they saw the sludge villain surrounded by fire. Deku looked around. Why aren't the heroes doing anything? Kuro then noticed Bakugo struggling to get out of the sludge villain. Kachan, Deku heard coming from Kuro. What? Deku looked up at the sludge villain. Kuro was right. You need to get help. Kuro looked at Deku. We need to help. Kuro looked up at Deku. Even if he is a jerk, we have to do something. Kuro was doubtful, but he knew that Izuku was normally right about things. Kuro dived down and started scratching at the sludge villain's eyes. Deku jumped out and started trying to pull out Bakugo. What are you doing here? They couldn't just let you die. Deku pulled out Bakugo and backed off. Kuro, Plasma Blast! Kuro let out a burst of breath at point-blank range, blowing sludge off of the villain. Kuro backed off a bit. You're gonna pay for that, kid! The sludge villain lurched towards the three when All Might appeared and stopped the villain's attack. Do not fear, for I am here. That will be it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe and comment. 5 likes for part 2. And once again, happy birthday, Giuseppe. Until next time, Mabuhay, Mabuba.